Over what territory does the state rule? Where does its rule begin and end?
The answers to these all-important questions are often assumed toward granting the state unlimited control and power. Many Christians even build doctrines around misunderstood and misinterpreted passages of Scripture, where they render to Caesar whatever Caesar demands, with little thought regarding what God demands and determines. To make matters worse, as the world has become more atheistic and secularized, it has enabled a globalized culture of tyranny, where the state views itself and functions as a deity.
In the early church, this unquestionable acquiescence to the demands of Caesar would have been regarded as idolatry. It was the early church that defied the imperial claim that Caesar is Lord, by establishing the fact that Christ rules and reigns above Caesar as the true and only Lord over all. It was this precise stand that invited fierce persecution against Christians. To acknowledge that Christ is Lord was paramount to a death sentence. And yet, Christians refused to buckle under threat and persecution.
From the Apostolic Age to the Reformation, the belief that government must be limited, subject to divine authority rather than an unchecked earthly power, has undergirded every kind of liberty. Christianity has been the bedrock of freedom and prosperity because it is the only true religion. It is only within the parameters that God alone establishes that freedom can truly be enjoyed.
It was the Reformation that reignited Augustine's better doctrine, the doctrine of original sin, not only in man, but in rulers. Luther, Calvin, and the magisterial reformers reminded the world that no king, emperor, or magistrate is above the law of God. The notion of divine right monarchy crumbled before the reality that all rulers are fallen men, subject to the same corruption and the same judgment. From this understanding arose the constitutional frameworks that shaped the modern world and specifically the American experiment. Systems of governance built on checks and balances, recognizing that power, when left unchecked, will always tend toward oppression.
There are clear boundaries that the state ought not to cross. It must not disarm, censor, or overtax its citizens.
It must not assume lordship over public health, education, and welfare.
It must not regulate the principles of church and worship.
It must not coerce, threaten, or murder its people.
It must not prevent citizens from owning property.
It must not create crimes for the sake of control and power.
It must not show partiality in favor of allegedly oppressed groups.
It must not surrender sovereignty to globalist overlords.
It must not redefine marriage or sanction the murder of children.
And it must not bow to any power other than God Himself.
We stand today at a crossroads where the state's claims once again encroach upon the sovereignty of conscience, family, and church. But history teaches us this: liberty is not a gift bestowed by earthly rulers. It is a birthright granted by God, and it is the duty of the faithful to defend it.
Today we're joined by Dr. Glenn Sunshine and Dr. Joe Rigney. Glenn Sunshine is the founder and president of Every Square Inch Ministries, is Professor Emeritus of History at Central Connecticut State University, Ministry Associate at Reflections Ministry, Senior Fellow at the Colson Center for Christian Worldview, and co-host of the Theology Podcast.
Glenn has taught a variety of Bible, history, and worldview seminars and courses to churches around the United States, Europe, Africa, and Asia, as well as leading church retreats, seminars, and renewal weekends. He teaches in the Colson Fellow Program and has been the content consultant for several worldview curricula.
An award-winning author, Glenn has published 10 books and numerous articles and book chapters on history, politics, theology, and culture online and on both sides of the Atlantic. His book, Slaying Leviathan, provides an excellent treatise of Protestant resistance theory and limited government.
Glenn and his wife Lynn have been married for over 40 years and have 2 married adult children. They live in South Bend, Indiana.
Dr. Joe Rigney is a Fellow of Theology at New St. Andrews College, an author of the recent publication, The Sin of Empathy. Dr. Rigney's work explores the forces shaping our emotions and decisions, illuminating how courage can free us from fear's grip. Previously, he served as professor and president of Bethlehem College and Seminary, pastor at Cities Church, and teacher at Desiring God. An ever-curious generalist, he has a passion for teaching on topics from C.S. Lewis and Shakespeare to biblical theology and political philosophy. When he's not exploring ideas, Joe's coaching high school football, playing baseball with his 3 sons, or spending cherished time with his wife, Jenny.
This is Kings and Statesmen, a show dedicated to fostering thought, policy, and dialogue that shape the American political landscape and the virtues of truth, beauty, and goodness.
And now, to our conversation.